everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something really powerful, the process of totally rewriting the beliefs that hold you back. We're going to figure out how to spot those negative stories we tell ourselves, and more importantly, realize they aren't facts. They're just thoughts. And thoughts, well, thoughts can be changed.
Okay, before we get into the nuts and bolts, I want you to start with this question. Just take a second and really think about it. What's that one conviction you have about yourself that if you could just flip it on its head would be a total game changer? Do you have one in mind? Awesome. Keep that thought handy because we're about to give you the toolkit to do exactly that.
I want you to think about your beliefs like they're invisible software. Like an operating system that's just running in the background of your mind. It guides almost every action and decision you make, and most of the time, you don't even know it's there. So, where did this programming even come from? Well, for a lot of us, it was installed way back when we were kids. Little messages from our parents, things teachers said, what we saw in society, or even just one single bad experience, all of that can become a core piece of our internal code. And just like old software, it's now running on autopilot, coloring your view of the world and, crucially, your view of yourself. Now, the specific beliefs we're hunting down today are the limiting ones. These are the thoughts we treat like absolute facts, but in reality, they just box us in. They're like an invisible anchor weighing us down, keeping us from even trying to move forward. They feel like the truth, but as you're about to see, they're anything but. And here's the thing. This invisible software, it isn't just sitting there quietly. Oh no, it is actively shaping your reality through a really powerful cycle that we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. Check out how this works. It all starts with one belief. Let's say, I'm not good at interviews. Instantly, that thought triggers emotions, right? Anxiety, maybe a drop in confidence. And those feelings, they drive your behavior. Suddenly, you're stumbling over your words, you can't make eye contact, and what's the result? You don't get the job. Which, to your brain, is all the proof it needs to say, see, I told you so, strengthening that belief for the next time around. It's a vicious cycle. So, you see the trap, right? To break this cycle, you can't just try to change your behavior or hope for a different result. You've got to go back to the source code. It's time to put on your detective hat and start investigating the belief itself. All right, here's your official detective kit. First question, where did this belief even come from? Trace it back. Second, is it really, truly 100% true? Come on, can you find even one time it wasn't? Third, and this one's interesting, how has this belief maybe protected you? Maybe it kept you from trying and failing. But the final, most important question is, what is it costing you to keep believing this? What opportunities, what joy, what growth have you missed out on? Okay, so once you've done your detective work and you've seen the old story for what it is, a flawed narrative, it's time for the fun part. You get to become the author. It's time to rewrite your own script. So how do we do that? Well, one of the most effective tools we have is installing new, positive instructions directly into our subconscious. We call these affirmations. And I want you to think of them as fresh lines of code, powerful, updated code that you're using to overwrite that old, buggy software that's been running your life for way too long. And here's what that looks like in action. You literally take a limiting script, like, I am not good enough, and you consciously replace it. You rewrite it as, I am capable and worthy of success. Instead of that old story, I always fail at this, you install a new one. Every attempt is a learning opportunity. Now, this is not just wishful thinking. You are actively, consciously installing a new, more powerful operating system to run your life from. Now listen up, because this is probably the most critical part of the whole process. Affirmations are amazing, but they are not enough. You can't just think your way into a new belief. You have to act your way into it. Action is the ultimate evidence. It's the proof you need to show your brain that the old belief was wrong all along. And here's the game plan. First, you identify the belief. Let's say it's, I'm too shy. Then you choose a tiny, super manageable action that contradicts it. I'm talking small, like just smiling at a stranger. Then you actually do it. And this last part is key. You have to consciously acknowledge it as victory evidence. Every tiny action you take chips away at the old belief and stacks up as hard proof for the new one you're building. So look at this journey. We've gone from being controlled by invisible software to becoming a detective of our own mind, and now we're the author of a brand new, empowering story. This brings us to the final step, making a real commitment to this new way of living and thinking. I want you to see this as your new mental contract. This is a formal declaration you make to yourself. It's you saying,
I'm taking the pen back. I'm in charge now. You're promising to question what holds you back and to intentionally choose the thoughts that lift you up. You're declaring, once and for all, that your past does not get to write your future.
And really, that all leads us to this one final powerful question. You now have the tools. You have the framework. You know how to spot the old stories and how to build new ones. So, what new, incredible, empowering story will you start writing for yourself starting today?